In order for your church to be legal, you must be a 501c3.
Right.
That is a lie,
Yep.
a complete lie. Even IRS questions and has the codes in there to keep churches away from a 501c3. But they've been lied, infiltrated, manipulated for so long, they believe that they have to be legal according to the United States to even exist. That is a lie. It is a complete lie. You do not have to be a 501c3 to be legal. As a matter of fact, you put yourself under the power of Baal, which makes you completely illegal in God's eyes.
That's right.
Illegal with God. And who do you want to answer to? Do you want to be illegal with the state, or you want to be illegal with God?
Right.
But the state gives you an out to not be a 501c3.
That's right. And look, the 501c3 is a complicated issue. It is very complicated. And what people have to understand is that when you are a 501c3, Jesus is not the head of your ministry. You can speak it all you want to. But if you look at the graph, what's the head? The eye, the all-seeing eye. The cabal. That's who you answer to. The Baal. This is the Baal system. This is the kingdom of darkness. We are not even to give the appearance of evil. And we are not to be unequally yoked. We're yoked with these people. So for someone to sit here and say, no, it's a good thing. No, it's not, guys, because God would never, ever, would God ever come to you and say, Paul, it's okay to be a 501c3, brother, because, you're coming in my name and you're doing good works and you're spreading the gospel. So I'm going to let you guys be a part of all of these other little organizations right here. I'm going to let you be yoked with this. Would he ever say that? Never. Never in a million years would God ever say that, because he does not want his people inside of the kingdom of darkness, period.
Right.
So those are some things that people have to understand. And if people, before you criticize, because I know there's people out there, I get criticized every day on this message, before you criticize, you need to search a matter out, because you don't understand from a legal perspective. You're looking at it from a natural perspective. God's looking at it from a spiritual perspective, that you are under the lordship of the kingdom of darkness. That is who your master is, because what they're going to find out under Biden, I'm just waiting for Biden to do this, by the way. I'm just waiting for him to come against the 501c3s and start shutting them down, or saying, you're going to preach transgender or homosexuality, or we're going to shut you down. And guess what? That's coming. So guess what? He can legally do it.
Yes,
they can legally do it. Even the governors of a state can legally do it, because you're a corporation. They can legally do it. So they really have no recourse to even fight it, honestly. They can fight it all they want to. But this is where we're talking about spiritually, in the legal realm spiritually. You have no legal rights at this point, because Jesus is not the head of your ministry. That is.
Right. Two things I want to add to this. I know someone, a pastor, who was sued by IRS because he was he wasn't properly putting his money in place. He felt he was. To him, he was not guilty. And looking at it from the natural eye, he was not guilty. Anyway, he appeared in court. And he said the first thing the judge asked him when he appeared in court, are you a 501c3, nonprofit religious organization? He said, yes, I am. The judge said, then you have no say-so in here.
There you go. There you go.
That was hard.
Yes, sir. But it was the truth. It was the truth.
And people need to realize, second thing is, people need to realize why churches was offered a 501c3. And they didn't come around until 1969, the 501s. But this is what happened and why the churches began, because the government and IRS began to lie to them. What happened was, and the reason 501c3s even came around, because the IRS and the government wanted to see what kind of money is flowing through your organization. And so in 501c3s, no one owns a 501. You have board of directors to manage it. But when you become a 501c3, legally, no one owns it but the state, period. And you can do your research. I've done research for 10 years on this. You can do your research. So they wanted control over the money. Yep. What kind of money is going through this? So what happened was they put in their 501c3 stats that a nonprofit cannot profit at the end of the year. They are allowed to hold a 6-month reserve budget in case they have a bad year, because 501s rely on donations. So they have that. So the government says, and the IRS says, you're allowed to hold 6 months reserved account in your account in case you have a bad year. That's all they can do. That applies to churches also. Churches cannot make as much money as they want. They're restricted by the government. So the IRS said, look, we got all these churches that we don't know how much money they're making. We have no idea how much money they're making. We need to somehow know what kind of money they're making and control it. So they begin to offer churches this 501c3 and say, look, in order for you to be legal, you need to be a 501c3. Basically what it was is offering the state a way to look at your finances and also tell you cannot have any more money in your budget than more than 6 month reserve. So that's why churches were offered a 501c3, because the government and the IRS wanted to see what kind of money comes through your organization.
Right. And look, when we're talking about these 501c3s, you're talking about the mega churches. I want to kind of move into that for a second, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, brother.
A lot of these organized religion stuff, like you can move up the ladder here on that graph. And a lot of these churches are Illuminati driven. They get their 4 a.m. talking points just like the news media does. So when you see some of these pastors out there who are out there idolizing the world, you know what I mean? They've got a worldly mindset, whatever it is. You know, you had Beth Moore coming out the other day when she was talking about the inauguration, when she talked about Lady Gaga. She talked about the dove that was on Lady Gaga's. Now, I don't want to get into Gina's territory, but our friend Gina Phillips, which I know you're going to have her on here pretty soon.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
She did a decode, and I wrote it down word for word here. I'm going to give you an example here. I believe she's spitting out code. That's just me. That's my opinion. She was spitting out code is what Beth was doing. But she says she loved the dove symbol. It brought her peace. Now remember that. It brought her peace. Gina said this. The dove symbol is of Aphrodite, Venus, and Isis, which is the same thing. All fall on Aphrodite. He said that is their peace, right? When the cabal, the Illuminati, showed the dove, it's the Antichrist dove. It's not biblical, godly Christian peace. It's the peace the Antichrist is going to bring. The Antichrist system. That's what that dove represents. That's what she says brings her peace. That's how you know these guys are of the world. They're of the system. So that's the scary part, guys. When you can, I've said this 100 times. These guys have been trained, and they've been brainwashed. They've been mind controlled. Some of these guys, and they set the platform or the stage, if you will, through the worship, through the frequencies. They just like Hitler did. And then the pastor comes out and speaks. He speaks the code. What's he using as code? He's using Scripture's code. Given it should be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together. And what happens? People start giving. Boom, boom, boom. Right, because they're setting the stage for it. It's like they're brainwashing the people. It's like this is all about it. This is all a control mechanism. What is God into religion? No, God is not into religion. He is into, why? Because it's in this matrix right here. It's in the kingdom of darkness. He's into a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what this is about. But you have so many of these organizations, this organized religion that has dominated us, that's brainwashed us over the years, and all of us are waking up with this, by the way. I mean, we're all at a different level of awakening here. But this is what this is all about. This is about a rescue mission. This is about, again, I believe we have good prophetic voices that are caught up in this system. But it's like you said, when the Lord gave me that prophetic word, that 501c3, because you said this is going to be the last circle here, basically, the Lord's doing. The Lord gave me that word. He said, Mark, many have come before you with that word. He said, you are the last before my judgment falls. Now, Paul, I have been screaming this from the rooftops, and I've been called every name in the book for that message. And it's like the hammer is about to fall on these guys. There's not much time left to come out of that system.
Right.
Especially for these pastors. Now, some of them refuse. Some of them refuse to see it. They don't want to see it. Because why? They're caught up in the world. They're after the wealth. They're after the influence. They want everything that the system can give them, but claim that God is giving it to them when in fact he is not. Don't think that the devil won't reward you for being a part of his system, because he will. Even if you're coming in the name of the Lord. Period. See, they don't want to rely on God's system, God's timing, and God's way of giving you or elevating you, right? Because God will elevate us in his own time as to where he wants us to be as far as our ministries are concerned. But you have so many out there that want to be elevated They just want it. They want it, and they're willing to do anything, including selling their soul, to get to it.
Yes.
They want to be, again, we're talking about character versus gifting. They think their gifting is more important than their character. And it's the other way around. God wants to see what we're going through right now, this whole thing that we're going through, this dimensional thing I was talking about earlier, or this convergence. This is, we're not hearing anything. It's like the heavens are like brass almost for a lot of people, that I hear people, I can't hear anything. I can't see anything. It's because we are to stand right now. That's all we can do is stand. No matter what we see in the natural, we're not hearing anything in the natural either. We're not hearing any good news in the natural. Notice that? I mean, it's like almost like I'm in a blackout, if you will.
Right.
Why? Because God is building our character. He's teaching us, you're going to have to stand on what I have spoken, period. No matter what you see in the natural, you're going to have to stand. And most people are not used to that, Paul. We've never been here in history right now. We've never been in here in history like this, in a situation like this, the entire world, because what we're doing is we're snatching the reins away from the cabal, the dark side, and God's taking control of it. So we're in this transfer, if you will, this transfer that was taking place. And sometimes that can get ugly. It can get dark. And that's where we're at right now. And so people are scared. They're just going strictly by what they're seeing on the news, what they're hearing in the news, what they're seeing in the natural. And it's like God saying, look, I need you guys to turn that mess off.
Right.
Because you're letting the devil fill you full of stuff that's not there. And so you rely on what God is showing you. And I've said this 100 times. Stop listening and jumping from one prophetic voice to the next, to the next, to the next. Thinking, oh, this guy's got this word or she's got this word. No, knock it off. You need to hear what God is saying.
Mm-hmm.
You need to hear what God's saying right now. You need to hear the Lord's voice on your own right now, period. But see, this is the other thing about the false prophets I've been talking about. They feed off the fear of the people, and they know it. Some of these guys know it, Paul, and they're pulling off the strings of the fear strings of the people, and they know that they're going to come on, they're going to do this, and the donations, and another prophetic word, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, you've got to be careful who you follow right now, period. Now, I just showed people the kingdom of darkness. You just saw it with your own eyes right there. Lady did a wonderful job putting that piece together. But you saw the kingdom of darkness. You see who's a part of it. Anyone who is leading you away from Jesus Christ. And you saw it in Scripture right there, Matthew 24, where you're being led in to these inner rooms, 501c3, saying, oh, it's a good thing. Come on in, guys. You know what I mean? No. That is the biblical definition of a false prophet right there, guys. And that's what most people don't understand. It's the character of a man that makes him a false prophet, not if he misses something. Okay?
Right.